Welcome back to Product X. Everyone, I'm Rena. Today we're diving into something that's been making waves across both Silicon Valley and Wall Street. Defense tech startup Anduril just closed a massive $5 billion Series H, pushing their valuation to a jaw-dropping $61 billion. Yeah, you heard that right. Let's get into it.
Hi, Rena. Hi, everyone. I'm Vivian, partner at Pre-Angel Fund, been deep in the Silicon Valley venture scene for over a decade now. And honestly, I haven't seen funding momentum like this in defense tech since, well, maybe never.
Hey everyone, I'm Nolan, former CTO and architect at some of the big tech companies, and I've been following Anduril's technical evolution closely. The way they approach defense engineering is honestly unlike anything the legacy players are doing.
So here's the wild part. This $61 billion startup actually beat Boeing and Lockheed Martin in the US Air Force's Collaborative Combat Aircraft Program. Vivian, from your angle in the venture world, what's driving this massive shift in capital's appetite for defense tech?
Yeah, look, if you told me back in 2015 when I first started at Pre-Angel that VCs would be throwing billions at defense startups, I would have laughed. Back then, nobody in Silicon Valley would touch this sector. It was all SaaS consumer apps, the sharing economy. Anduril's founder, Brian Schimpf, literally couldn't get funded at the beginning. But here's the thing. The geopolitical climate changed big time. What Brian called the new Cold War made defense tech not just relevant, but essential. And once Peter Thiel's Founders Fund jumped in with the seed round, following Palantir's playbook, everything shifted. The revenue numbers don't lie. They hit $2.2 billion in 2025, and that Army contract earlier this year is worth up to $20 billion over 10 years. That's the kind of certainty venture capital craves. You bet a 16Z, and the Thrive Capital dropped $5 billion. Now they want to fund the factories that will actually eat Lockheed Martin's lunch.
Totally agree with Vivian on the timing. But from a technical standpoint, the real story is Anduril's architectural approach. Here's how I see it. The legacy defense giants are still building hardware-defined systems. You get a plane, you get a radar, each as an isolated silo. Anduril, they're building software and AI-defined defense. Their Lattice system is essentially the operating system for the entire battlefield. Imagine microservices architecture, but for military applications, edge computing, computer vision, machine learning, all working together to unify sensors, drones, and ground installations. The drones don't even need a human operator remotely controlling them. Lattice analyzes the data streams, identifies threats, and autonomously dispatches the right drone for intercept. That's why they beat Boeing in the CCA program. They didn't just build a better aircraft. They built an intelligent, collaborative swarm powered by an AI brain.
That's such a sharp analogy. Nolan, it's like turning defense from a single-player offline game into a cloud-computed MMO. But here's where it gets interesting. Vivian, we all know that in defense, eventually you need to actually manufacture physical hardware at scale. Can Anduril's production capacity actually keep up with their ambitions now that they have this $5 billion war chest?
That's exactly the right question. And honestly, that's what this funding round is really about. Crossing the manufacturing chasm. They're pouring massive resources into the arsenal, one hyper-factory in Ohio. What I find fascinating as an investor is their product iteration velocity. Traditional defense contractors take 10 years and tens of billions to develop a single weapon system. Anduril uses commercial off-the-shelf components and applies Silicon Valley's agile development methodology, rapid assembly, rapid testing, rapid iteration. Their costs are roughly 1/10 of the legacy players, and their production speed is blazing. In this era of drone attrition warfare, we see in Ukraine that high-volume, low-cost manufacturing capability is arguably the most terrifying moat they have. Honestly, I think they're on a very real path to becoming the next Palantir, and their market cap could very well surpass the traditional giants.
If I could add a forward-looking point here, the Lattice system has the potential to become the industry standard API for defense. Think about it. Once other hardware manufacturers realize their products need to plug into Lattice to be operationally useful, Anduril essentially becomes the iOS or Windows of defense. That's an ecosystem mode that's almost impossible to break. The upside potential there is honestly astronomical.
So we're looking at a future where a software platform might essentially control the entire defense ecosystem. That's both fascinating and a little unsettling. Let's shift gears slightly beyond Anduril itself. What does this mean for the broader defense industry landscape? Are we witnessing the beginning of a complete restructuring?
I think we're absolutely at an inflection point. The old model, decade-long development cycles, cost-plus contracts, bureaucratic procurement that's being disrupted right now. Anduril's success proves you can apply Silicon Valley speed and efficiency to national security. What I'm watching is whether the traditional giants can adapt or whether we'll see more carve-outs and acquisitions. The venture money is flowing, and it's flowing fast.
Yeah, and on the technical side, the writing is on the wall. The defense industry has been siloed for decades, and Anduril just demonstrated what integrated AI-first architecture can do. The legacy players have incredible engineering talent, but their organizational structures were built for a different era. Whether they can reimagine their systems engineering from the ground up, that's the billion-dollar question.
Well, $61 billion apparently, but who's counting? Let's take a quick break here, and when we come back, we've got a lightning round where we dig into some lighter questions. Stay with us. Welcome back, everyone. Time for our lightning round quick-fire questions. Quick-fire answers. First one. If Anduril were a character in a video game, what class would it be?
Definitely a mage, all about the software magic, with some serious hardware firepower backing it up.
I'd say an engineer. They build the tools, the systems, the infrastructure that everyone else has to use.
Okay, next, the biggest risk factor for Anduril in the next 2 years.
Supply chain bottlenecks. Hardware is hard, and scaling manufacturing is where a lot of startups flame out.
Regulatory headwinds. Defense contracts come with a lot of political scrutiny, especially for a company this visible.
Fair points. Third, what's one thing about defense tech that would surprise most tech investors?
The sales cycle is literally years long, much longer than anything in consumer or enterprise SaaS. Patience is everything.
How much legacy code is still running critical infrastructure? It's both shocking and a massive opportunity for modernization.
Ooh, that's a good one. Fourth, if Anduril goes public tomorrow, what's the first thing you'd do as an investor?
I'd probably take a small profit off the table just to manage risk, but honestly, I'd hold most of it. The growth story is just beginning.
I'd be more interested in seeing how they handle the public market's quarterly expectations. Private funding gives you long horizons. Public markets are a different beast.
Last one, hot take time. Will we see more defense tech unicorns in the next 5 years?
Absolutely. The geopolitical tailwinds are too strong, and the talent flowing into this sector is incredible. $10 billion companies, easily.
I'll say yes, but with a caveat. Not all of them will make it. The winners will be the ones who can actually deliver hardware at scale, not just cool software demos.
Love that contrast. Okay, let's wrap up. Vivian, in one sentence, what's the key takeaway from today's discussion?
Anduril represents the biggest shift in defense tech investment in a generation. The capital is flowing, the technology is disruptive, and the manufacturing moat they're building could make them the next trillion-dollar defense giant. Nolan? Nolan, the real moat isn't the drones or the towers. It's Lattice, the AI brain that turns disjointed defense systems into an integrated autonomous network. That's the game changer. Rena, beautifully said. And from my side, What we've seen today is a fascinating collision between Silicon Valley velocity and the massive, slow-moving world of defense. Anduril's $61 billion valuation might just be the beginning of a whole new era in national security technology. Thank you, Vivian and Nolan, for bringing the 资本 lens and the 技术 breakdown. And thank you all for watching Product X. If you enjoyed this deep dive, hit that subscribe button and join us next time as we continue decoding the unicorns of tomorrow. I'm Rena, and see you in the next one.